All right, what is up, everyone? My name is Chris, and today, welcome back to the channel. Today, I have a very special guest for this video here. We got Flyers Insider, the host of Flyers Daily, Jason Myrtetus. Jason, welcome. How are you doing?
Doing good, Chris. How's it going, man? Ready for some hockey?
Yeah, man, same here. So basically, me and Jason, I'm just gonna be asking Jason a couple questions here about the Flyers, and then we're kind of just gonna talk a little bit and see where it goes. So, first off, Jason, now with the Oscar Lindblom contract, which is 3 years, 3 million, you know, and the thing is too is that they have there's a bunch of UFAs and RFAs that they have to sign this summer. Is there anything that now makes you that like kind of makes you think with speculation like who they won't sign or who they will sign, anything like that?
I think once we get to the market and you kind of see what the market is, we'll determine that too. When you look at a guy like, they made a couple acquisitions, Nate Thompson and Derek Grant. I don't anticipate either coming back with that news of a 3-year contract extension for Oscar. The
Hmm.
problem is too is the flat cap. You're in a
Yeah.
situation where an $81.5 million cap is. You're planning for that cap to go north of 85, probably. I mean, they were saying close to maybe 88. I don't think it's going
Yeah.
to get that high.
Hmm.
But so, there's going to be some casualties of that, and you're going to have some hard decisions to make. It's not just the Flyers. A lot of teams are going to have to do that. I know they like to retain Pitlick, but you got to look at the situation with, a guy like Joel Farabee going to be an everyday player next year. Morgan Frost is ready to play in the NHL. So I think that there's an opportunity there for them to walk away from all of those guys. Justin Braun's another guy, not a forward, but he's another guy too. With the signing of Mark Friedman. Now,
Yeah.
Friedman signed a $750,000 contract, so you get good value out of that. He could be your seventh defenseman. If Ghost were to draw back in, is Ghost a guy maybe that they look to move and look to move that money? So there's a lot of variables here, but you're right. They have some guys they got to pay, some RFAs, and they got some UFAs that they got to make decisions on. And in light of the fact that the cap is going to be flat at 81.5 million, I think they're going to be more likely got departures now than prior had the season just finished normally.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, like when I started to think about it, I was kind of thinking just like with the way that to me it was just like with the way that Braun was playing, I was like, okay, yeah, I think they can definitely sign him, but I think he honestly could have gotten a raise or a cut. I mean, he could have went from 3.8 to like 4, 4.5, or 2, 2.5, and it just made me think like, do they really want to do that for a guy that is maybe only here for maybe 1, 2 year? But and it's funny too because with all those guys that and the one guy we didn't even talk about was Brian Elliott. If if the Flyers don't sign Elliott, are there any backup goaltenders that you think they could go for? And to be honest, it might not. Like I don't know if this like sounds like dumb or not, but if I don't know, like if there's a goalie that they could go for, and it doesn't have to be someone that could help out Carter Hart, where I think Hart's at the point now where he doesn't really need that mentor anymore. Are there any guys you think that they could go for?
Well, look, you got to find a guy and a backup goalie, and especially, it's going to be a condensed schedule again because
Hmm.
they're getting all 82 in, and they're going to start December 1st. So it's going to be important to have a backup goaltender that you feel really confident in that can win games and in a difficult situation because the backup goalie tends to get game two of a back to back where the team is obviously ragged a bit from playing in a back to back, and oftentimes that back to back is on the road. So you got to find a guy who's unflappable that way.
Hmm.
Elliott is. I don't think Elliott's at the point in his career where he's looking to break the bank. I
Yeah.
think he's looking to stay in a comfortable position. Some goalies can kind of transfer to that role of being a backup mentor and be fine with it. Other guys can't. Like Steve Mason wanted no part of that, and he's out of the league. And look, and he just cost himself a $2 million per year salary. I hope wherever he's working, he's getting paid well. But Brian Elliott has done that. He's got a family. He wants security. So I think it's a situation where they will bring Brian Elliott back because the relationship with Elliott, Carter, Kim Dillabaugh, the organization, it all fits. It all works. He's a total pro. And even though his numbers aren't indicative of a really strong season from this past year, he was way better than his numbers. He had a couple of starts that really skewed his numbers in a
Yeah.
negative direction.
Hmm.
But if you looked at Brian Elliott when Carter Hart went out for those 9 games, he went 7-1 at that
Yeah.
period of time with the
Yeah, he was
goals against.
fabulous all year.
Yeah, and he made big saves at big times. So To me, I continue to try and bring back Brian Elliott. I don't know what the market's going to look like. I don't know what, star players in a flat cap are going to get paid still because star players always get paid. So who's going to get squeezed? Well, the lower end and middling guys are going to get squeezed. And a guy like Brian Elliott could get squeezed a little bit. So I think he would prefer, let me just kind of stay in the situation I'm in. If I'm taking a bit of a discount here because of the economics, then I'll stay in Philadelphia where I feel comfortable. My family feels comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing is too is how long do you think his contract will be? Like maybe 2 years or 1 year?
You could sign another one. I wouldn't think it would be a bad idea to sign a one because then you're coming out of an HRR situation where there's a full 82 games and presumably fans back at some point. So, certain players, usually guys his age, they want term.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A guy that knows he has a couple years left, so he may go, hey, I'll just sign another 1 year deal. And as long as this keeps working for me, it keeps working for you guys, let's keep doing it. Let's stay the path here and let's try and win a cup.
Yeah, definitely. So, and speaking of all this now, with this roster that's added with these players, now I know that it's supposed to be 31 players you take to Toronto, and now that the Flyers have 34, who are some of the guys that you think they won't bring with them? If anything, I'm thinking if they have to get rid of some guys, I'd have to think it'd be Werenski, Prosser, and Wotherspoon, and I'd have to think the two extra defensemen will be Zamola and Friedman, and then you can maybe drop a forward. I'd have to think maybe Andrioff, it's something like that. But like, who are you guys that you think that they don't that they don't take to Toronto?
Yeah, I think it's pretty accurate. You look at if you're going to go that deep, you go, oh boy, we don't want to go that deep. But is Zamula ready for the Stanley Cup playoffs? Is Prosser ready? Andrioff? Those are probably the guys. I mean, those guys got an opportunity coming to camp. I think they'll continue to skate at the skate zone in case they need to go deeper, and they can call them to come to Toronto. But I think that's probably pretty accurate in who's going to go and who's not going to go. So, I'm not sure. They had a couple guys on the other sheet the other day, and you kind of go, okay, there's the guys that are going to be left out. But I saw Zamula on that sheet, so I'm not sure if that's the case or not. They're thinking. I don't know if that was a tip of the hand, but the good news is all these players have gotten a good look in camp. And at a time when not everybody in the organization, prospect-wise and at different levels of development, it has gotten a look. So it's been a bonus for all of those players.
Yeah, definitely. And like, it's funny, too, because I thought about this a lot, and it just makes me think, like, with all these things, like, and especially now with the news with Lindblom saying that he might be eligible to play, like, it boggles my mind if he could play. But is there any chance you think he plays?
I mean, if I take Chuck Fletcher at his word, he said, I'm not going to put anything past him. Ideally, I don't think he does.
I don't either.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's there more as a motivating factor and an inspiration. But should they go on a deep run and they get to a conference final in Edmonton and his progress is pretty pronounced and he looks like he's in shape and physically and his game is there, could he get in? Absolutely. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, too, because it's not like he doesn't have chemistry with these guys either.
Yeah, I mean, look at that's the one thing that's lost in his story is how good a year he was having prior to the diagnosis. I mean, he was their leading scorer. I mean, that's the other, like, you look at the situation, you got to realize, like, he's a really good hockey player.
Yeah, and he 18 knows points in 30 games.
Yeah, I mean, he knows where to go on the ice. You don't have to tell him to go to the dirty areas and where to be defensively. The only question when he came into the league was his skating, and he needed to get better. At times it looked like he was just a stride off because he wasn't a fluid skater and he's a bigger body. But once he kind of, in the off seasons went and worked on that and he fit from a skating perspective, it was like, whoa, this kid's a really good hockey player. He's got good hands. And then, the other aspect too is just, it is true. It is the inspirational story that he's become for this group. The fact that he was more concerned how his diagnosis would affect the team than the fight that he was about to go into. And those things, and that's not lost on his teammates. And his presence definitely lifts that room up every time.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny now with all the Seattle news that came yesterday, who do you think that they'll take from the Flyers in the expansion draft? I personally think it could be a defenseman. I'm not 100% sure on with everything that happens with the rules and things like that. But who Now, what guy can you see going to Seattle from the Flyers organization?
James Van Riemsdyk
Yeah.
is probably that I say. Yeah, I don't know that Goss. Yeah, he'll have a couple years in his deal too. So that's palatable from a Seattle standpoint. And he's a legit NHL player and a guy that can score and a good leader. So I think Ron recognized those traits, and I think that he's a guy that could end up being there. And it would help the Flyers too, because it was clear that money off the last. I think from
Yeah. And it's funny because I've thought about this a lot. Like to me, there's so many aspects of it because I could honestly see a defenseman going. I could see JVR. You think there's any way that Ghost goes or no?
um, but he's had a struggle the last couple of years, and he's dealt with a few injuries as well. He's being worked on, so it'll all player he's in. And, franchise is going to want to put some names on that to get behind. So he will be interesting if he's still here at that time. I think he's also a possibility. But the question is will he be here in a flat cap? Will Chuck Fletcher try and move him this offseason or not?
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny because one thing I thought of too is like I would honestly rather trade him than let him go to Seattle because they can at least get something back for him. And it's not like I don't want them to
Mm-hmm.
trade him, for a third round pick. Then like what's the point? I'd rather them at least try to get at least something from him. Like I don't know. Honestly, I would take anything for him at this point. I mean, I personally don't think his career is done, and I don't think he's. I honestly think the Flyers can still work him in the roster. But the one thing is too is that I think with all of the young guys that they have now, I think maybe a change of scenery would probably be better for him.
Yeah, it's certainly looking that way in a crowded blue line with more guys coming. And you mentioned Zamula before, and Mark Friedman's another guy. So and then is the LC of the also, yeah. So what's the long future? Myers, who is a legit top four pair, top four defense right now. It's the big thing will be not really the what you shed in salary. So, but again, who are the teams that are going to take that on?
Yeah, definitely. So again, Jace, I thank you for doing this. I appreciate it a lot coming on talking with me. It's been an honor, so thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, man. Let me know when you need it. I'm around.
All right. Thanks everybody for staying in and watching until the end. I appreciate it. Remember the podcast articles; those links are on my channel. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys in the next one, and goodbye.